Welcome to a brand new episode of the Pack Mentality Poppins podcast, episode 121. We're really getting up there in numbers. Championship edition. This is March. I'm your host, Brian Reinhardt, joined by the head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio. Pat, it's exciting
Brian.
Time of year. Every March I say it's exciting. Is it still exciting?
It's your favorite time of year.
It is.
Postseason.
I took a couple days off work so I can enjoy some of this postseason run. So
I thought you always work at home.
I work at home. I actually took days off though, so I could, watch.
Right.
Okay.
But the tournament's Sunday.
Yeah. I tell you what, I told you this beforehand. You think I'm cranky in real life? Wait till you see me Sunday. I got a 7 a.m. flight to fly into RDU on Sunday morning. So it's going to be, you guys have a long day. I have a longer day. You do know that we're springing forward. We're losing an hour's sleep Saturday night.
Love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Little adversity.
Couldn't ask for anything more.
Competition starts at 11. Kind of take us through what you guys will be doing leading up to that 11 o'clock start.
Well, you say 11, but we got to weigh in at 9. Skin checks 8:45. Okay. You got to get up early, make sure everyone's on weight. And then if someone's over, you got to have time to get some weight off if needed. So we, as you say, 7 a.m. we'll probably be doing the same as you're thinking you're the only one up and moving.
No, I'll be moving a lot earlier because where I'm at, it's about maybe a 45-minute drive to the airport. So I'll be saucy. So.
All right, good.
But you guys weigh in 11, or excuse me, weigh in at 9, competition 11. I like to call it the Breakfast Club every year.
Trent's brought it up already. We got 8 guys in the Breakfast Club.
I was going to say the Breakfast Club, for those that don't know, NC State, the guys that have a bye out of the first round into the semifinals get to go out for breakfast.
Yeah,
this year,
Neff Breakfast Club they call it.
Brandon Neff's. Okay, yeah. I'll have to ask Brandon about that.
Host.
But 8 guys this year with buys. 5 number 1 draws, 3 number 2 draws. Great for NC State. I always joke this Breakfast Club has been going on since Nick was here. I think the heavyweights enjoyed the Breakfast Club the most. But some of these guys, 9 o'clock weigh-in. Take Owen, for example. He's going to weigh in at 9. He probably won't compete until maybe 1:45. Some of these guys have a long wait.
Yeah, actually probably be later because the semis start at 1 and it's like a dual meet. So if you do the math on it, Brian, you've been experienced to know dual meet's not 45 minutes. So we're more likely looking at 2:45. I
tell you what, though, I've watched a couple duels this year without TV timeouts. That is the most spectacular thing in the world.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's late night when we have those TV timeouts. But the positive is all those guys will have a nice little break to get really warmed up. We'll probably start that right around 1 o'clock, depending on who 25 is going to start. So they'll go a little earlier, and then certain guys will time it out about an hour before their match. Get in there, get warmed up, get ready to go, and show up and compete.
I personally like the semifinals. You have 2 matches going, usually 2 really good matches. The semifinal round is my favorite round, sometimes even more than the final.
Yeah, they're more entertaining. That's for sure. That is true.
It kind of dictates who's going to win this thing a lot of times too.
Semis probably in a small tournament like this have a lot to say. And I think that with the depth of the ACC and the way some of the seeding is, it's going to make for some good semifinal matches.
Of course, we're talking ACC Championships this Sunday over in Chapel Hill. Let's pack it red, make the short drive over there. NC State going for a 6th straight championship. Pat, I found this. I got a lot of stats today. So
I figured you're going to throw them at me now.
I'm going to be reading so much today, but it makes for good content. But NC State and Virginia Tech have actually combined for 10 out of the last 11 league titles. I think that's tremendous. These 2 schools have really done some damage in this tournament. Like I said, NC State going for a 6th straight. You guys coming off that dual championship, beat Virginia Tech last time we saw you guys. What's the mood been the last couple of weeks in practice? Are the guys prepared? Is there excitement, a little bit of nerves? What do you think heading into the championships?
You see focus. As you get to this time of the year, this is what competitors are thriving for. You get a long season thrown at you, and it's week to week. You're working on things getting better, but when you hit the postseason, it's all about accomplishing your goals. And this, gets you one step closer to a really good spot to do that. And I think, with the way the conferences are now and the way they work for seeding at NCAAs, it puts you in a good spot. It's not the end all be all, but it is postseason. And, I think anytime you got a little bit on the line, it brings out the best in competitors. And that's what you get when you get in the conference tournaments. You got to get through the bids, which is one thing. And then you got to be ready to get through this tournament and get ready for NCAAs.
Glad you mentioned bids. I'm not sure what to complain about first here. Lack of allocations. I hate bonus points in the first round. I hate bonus points for forfeits. All this, I'm a little opinionated now that I don't work at the institution that you coach at.
I can tell you don't hold your lips back anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of good. Yeah, I'm free. But allocations, I'm not going to get into it too much, but there's a lot of weights where there's just 2 allocations this year. You don't want to kind of wait to see if you're going to get an at-large bid. So some of these weights, there's a little bit of added pressure to make that final because there's only 2 bids.
Yeah, it makes it tougher. And with the depth that we have, it's going to make things pretty interesting at some weights. But again, the body of work that guys do during the year sets you up for success for the postseason. And, a resume obviously will weigh in if guys ever need it out of this, which is going to happen. There's a lot of weights where guys are going to need wild cards. But you look at the resumes from all the teams and the kids that are at each weight, there's going to be some wild cards that are given out to the ACC for sure. But that comes with the territory, and we just got to show up and do our best this weekend.
As always, we like to go weight by weight. As always, we start down at the lowest weight, 125. Jacob Camacho going for a 3rd ACC championship. He would only become the 13th wrestler. And Pat, I know you know this, but our fans, 125 has been huge for NC State. You guys have put somebody into the finals the last 8 years. That's a lot of team points, has really helped. Camacho is going to start out. He's going to get UVA or Duke in the semis. And then the other half, you have Virginia Tech's Cooper Flynn versus Carolina's Spencer Moore. That's going to be a great semifinal. But Camacho, we've seen him. He's been out there. He's got 2 ranked wins recently. He's refocused. I talked to him. He said he's feeling good. This is a good opportunity. He's done it before. He's got to the podium. He's been to the mountaintop, but this is going to be a good test for him at 125.
Yeah, and the experience is what you want when you get to this level, and he's got a lot of it. And he's not just at the college scene, but wrestling freestyle last year at the U.S. Open, and this is the time of year where guys got to shine. And expect nothing less from him. Go out. He's a competitor, and he elevates his game when we get to the postseason. So I'm excited to see him go out there and do what he does best and put on a good show.
133, Kai Orini, defending champion at this weight. He was also the MVP. Everybody knows about Kai, and he's got that little target on his back. He's got the 1 seed. I think the other semifinal could be really good. You got Sam Latona. You got the kid from UVA, who I think has had a really good year. He can do some big moves. Orini's got the kid from Pitt, who's very tough too. This is a very tough bracket, and Kai obviously wants to go out there and repeat as a champion.
Yeah, good depth. And you want that, as you talk through all these weights, you want to have a good test going into the NCAAs. And I think that's what 33 is going to bring, because I would imagine all 4 of those guys are going to be wrestling in the NCAA tournament. So it's going to get everyone ready. And one thing I like about Kai is as the season progresses, he gets more and more focused, and he thrives on these kind of environments. So it should be a good turnout for him.
True test. You talk about that 141. This bracket's absolutely loaded. 4 top 15 seeds was kind of weird with allocations this year, but these 4, the top 4 guys they all were in the semifinals last year, could be repeating this year. Cole Matthews, he just keeps doing what he does. He's actually 10-0 all time against the rest of the field in this. Ryan Jack, he sits in the 2nd seed. Crook from Virginia Tech, 3rd seed, and McNeil, UNC, he was wrestling freestyle, had a good tournament last time in the Pan Ams. He actually went 0-3, I think, in ACC, but he's ranked number 5 in the nation as your 4 seed in this bracket. 141, just absolutely crowded. It's madhouse. These guys are going to get 2 great matches.
And I think you're going to see guys that are wrestling Saturday at the NCAA tournament in this weight. So, again, another good weight to get you more prepared for the NCAA tournament. And it is. I mean, depth that – as it's a small tournament, the quality is really good at 41. So I think the semis are going to be fire. And it's going to only make these guys more prepared. But yeah, that's an important weight. You know, I think if you look across the country at any conference tournament, this weight for the ACCs is probably one of the deeper ones with a good quality of competitors.
Ryan Jackson, he's made the final the last 2 years. What does he have to do to push through and claim that title this year?
Just show up, do what he does. You know, he can wrestle. He's got the skill set to beat anyone in the country, and he's just got to show up and do it. And he's looked phenomenal all year, and I don't see anything changing for him other than going out and competing as hard as he possibly can and put himself in a really good position. So it's going to be a good weekend for him.
149 was kind of top heavy this year. You have two guys in the top 5 nationally. Number 2, Henson for Virginia Tech. Jackson Arrington sits at number 4 in the country. Arrington's going to get a good test against Scott of UNC in that semifinal, but those two on a collision course, they've had one takedown bouts recently. I mean, if two guys in the top 5 meet in the ACC final, that could be the premier matchup.
Yeah, I think, you know, we got to get through, obviously, the semifinals, but you don't want to look past anybody or anything, but it's an opportunity to go compete against 2 really good guys. And it's one of those, you know, you get a chance to wrestle someone at the level that, you know, the competition's at. You got to take advantage of that. And we've improved a lot from a year ago. So I like where he's at, and everything is more just preparing him for the national tournament. And this is a weight I can see where whoever wins this weight is going to get a really good seed at the NCAA tournament with just the way the season's played out. So it's a really good opportunity for Jackson to go in there and do some stuff that he's been working on and closing the gap. But you really got to seize the moment at this point.
157, one of the first weights where it's going to be kind of a question mark. It's very obvious. Bryce Andoni and Virginia Tech missed the ACCs. He's got the 3 seed. People wonder what he's going to look like, but Ed Scott's at the 2. Ed Scott has won this weight before. He could face Andonian, then he could get a rematch against Santiago from UNC, who actually went down to the Pan Am Games too recently and got the number 1 seed. But Ed wants to get back on that podium.
Yes, and he's a postseason guy. He's got the experience as being an All-American last year, so you know he shows up when things are on the line. And it's going to be an interesting weight class with unknown. You know, you wrestle a guy that obviously is proven is one of the best in the country, and you can't take anything lightly. You got to show up and know that you're going to get someone's A game, and those guys always make it an entertaining match. So it's one we got to be ready right off the rip, go out and compete at our best and do what Ed does. He puts up points and wrestles as hard as he can and build off the momentum that he's been able to do the last couple of weeks. But I'm excited to see him go out there and compete in the ACCs.
165, probably the weight class with the least amount of experience. In fact, the number 1 seed, you guys with Fields, first ACC championship. He got the 1 seed. He's got either UVA or UNC to start. Then the other half, we already know Heller of Pitt against Brady of Virginia Tech. Might be a forfeit in there that got one team some points, which, you know, I've already voiced my opinion about. It's all good. It's the rules.
It's the rules. You can't argue the rules. They were written before anything came out.
There was a certain coach that got that rule in there. We're not going to name names, but it worked out. But
we're going to benefit at some point, and some points you don't. And it is what it is.
We'll get it. But Derek Fields, first time going to the ACCs. He's had a really good, impressive season, 4-1 in the duels. Kind of, did you talk to Fields about this competition? What's he been looking like? Just how do you expect Fields to compete for the first time at the championship level here?
I don't think anything changes. We know how good he is, how skilled he is, and he's always wrestled well in tournaments. You know, that's something that comes with your whole career. You're growing up your whole career, you're in tournaments. We've been in some big duels, and he's had great performances. So the skill set that he has, he's just got to show up and wrestle and stay offensive and aggressive, which he's been doing all year, and that's why he's in the position he's in. And, you know, you get rewarded for the season that you have, and I think we're seeing that with him, and we just got to capitalize in that position this weekend.
174. This is a really cool bracket. 3 former conference champions in here. You have obviously Mekhi Lewis, Virginia Tech, McCoy from UVA, he won it down at 165 last year. Then a kid from Carolina transferred. He won his conference title out at Stanford. You guys have Faison, 4 seed, but Faison did not qualify the spot. So very ideal. He finishes in the top 4 of this one because there's 4 allocations. He has a very tough first matchup against Pitt. The winner faces Mekhi Lewis, but there's a lot on the line for Faison here if he wants to get back to the NCAAs.
Yeah, and he knows that, and he's been looking good, and he's been in every match. You know, obviously Virginia Tech's proven that he's separated himself from the field. But those other guys in that weight, you know, we've been right in the mix of those matches, and you got to capitalize. You got to close them out, and you got to win. You got to get your hand raised. It doesn't matter how. When you get in the postseason, you got to find a way. If they're gritty matches, if it's a riding time point, if it's an overtime, it doesn't matter. You just got to get your hand raised. The good news is he's been through that, you know, last 2 years in tough, tight matches, and he knows how to win and close things out, and we just have to do that. And what I do like is, last year, he wrestled his best towards the end of the year, and you know I expect the same as we get here. Just show up and do everything that he's capable of doing, and his training and everything's looked really good to this point.
184. Pat, can you believe first time in probably about 20 years, no Trent Hiley, no Hunter Bolin? It's going to be weird.
That is true about that.
I actually looked this up. NC State and Virginia Tech have combined to win 184 the past 8 years. That's just an incredible streak for these two schools. Fishback revenge tour. Here it comes. He's got to get rid of the first round match. He has Duke in the first round. If he advances past that, going to get a rematch against Heller of Pitt, who lost the duel. Then maybe TJ Stewart, that he sits there in the other bracket. But TJ Stewart, he's got to get past Kane for UNC. So the top 4, they kind of beat each other around a little bit this year. Fishback's first ACC championship as well.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that's hard to beat twice. And he's learned from those mistakes that he's made in those matches, and I expect him to raise the level of competition. He's proven that he can show up and compete in these tournaments and do really good things. I think, you know, we go back to the offseason wrestling in the U.S. Open, U23 Nationals. You go to Vegas, he's looked really good in tournaments, and this is where the format, you know, you go all year in dual meets, and then we switch things to a tournament. So it's going to be different. And I have a lot of confidence in our guys being a good tournament team, and we just got to capitalize on that. And, you know, you should be – anytime you lose to someone and you're in close matches, you should be motivated to get that rematch, and I feel like we are, and we'll be in a good spot, and just got to show up and compete hard.
Like you were talking 174 with Mekhi Lewis, I think 197, very safe to say, Trent Hiley has kind of separated himself from the field. He's going for his 4th ACC title. He'd be the 6th wrestler, 2nd Hiley brother. Shout out Hayden, former host of the Poppins podcast here. But Trent's just been on a mission, everybody knows, but he's got 3 guys running underneath him. They have all beat each other. Smith from Virginia Tech, Shaw from UNC, Stout from Pitt. Some very tough competition for Trent to once again raise that trophy.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, 97's deep in the ACCs, but obviously Trent, I think, has a little more experience and accomplished resume, but he knows, and it's nothing you have to tell him. He's got to show up and bring his A game and compete against these guys, because everyone's trying to beat everyone. And I know Trent has his goals focused on winning a national title this year, but you still got to go through the process of the conference tournament, and this is a great opportunity to probably get 2 good competitive matches and get you more ready for what we're looking for and the things that we're trying to do. And he's looked phenomenal last couple of weeks. His skill set, he's added some more offense to some of his attacks. I think you see it out there, and it's working well for him at this weight, and just got to go in there and do the things he's been doing all year.
Maybe I could wait to the NCAA preview, but I'll ask you for ACC's. He's in his 6th year here. He's a little bit older now. Have you had to hold him back a little bit in practice? Have you let him go? I mean, the kid just never stops. What's been your coaching philosophy with Trent this year?
I think the important thing with him, you're right, he trains really hard. He's done everything you possibly can do to put yourself in position, and that's why he's where he's at. And the biggest thing now is when we were actually getting a day off, he can fully take the day off. And I think in years past, a day off for Trent was getting on a treadmill and making sure your weight was under control, and it never really was a true day off. And so now you're getting to actually see that if we timing through the year, if we ever got 2 days in a row off, that was great recovery for him. And I think that's the biggest thing now is when he recovers, you can see it out there when he's competing. He's got his legs underneath him, his conditioning is top notch, and throwing the power now, he's been able to really zone in on the lifting. So a lot of positives for him moving up. And as you do get older and you have a little more miles on your body, I think the recovery is critical, and that's something he's done very well.
No days off here. I was up at 5:45 on the Stairmaster at the gym. So
I can tell your jawline looks great.
I'm down half a pound. I feel great.
Yep,
285, defending champion Owen Treffin. Another weight, not quite sure about because you have Pitzer. He missed all the ACC with the shoulder injury. He got the 4 seed. So Trent could see him right away. Or Owen, what am I saying, Trent? Trent's not bumping up to heavyweight, Lord. But now Owen could get Pitzer, and that's just going to be a heck of a battle. Those two battled last year in the duel, and Pitzer's such a good wrestler. And then the other half of the bracket, you got the Kaka family battle with Virginia Tech and UVA. But Owen's going to have a very tough, man, I'm struggling here. I didn't eat lunch yet. I got up too early.
Yeah, okay. Guess so.
Thank you. Retake. See, I can't edit this. So Owen, very tough matchups here at 285.
Yeah. And again, a year ago, he got a win over a really good kid, and you got to just be ready to compete and do what you're good at and show up. And it's one of those that could be a match at the NCAA tournament that, could be a Friday night quarterfinals match or morning. Usually quarterfinals are in the morning, but that could be a match where you got to win at the NCAA tournament too. So, and it's one of those where you can only control what is in your control. And that is us showing up, doing what we're good at, not worrying about, someone hasn't competed in the ACC. It doesn't matter. It's wrestling, and at any given day, don't have to go through the regular season and be good in the postseason. So we do have to be ready and bring our A game. And I like where Owen's been at. He's been tested all year. He's wrestled with a lot of good guys, and his defenses look really good and helped them win some big matches.
Owen has had one heck of a schedule.
Yeah, him and Fishback have been, and even Trent, I think if we look through it, Trent's wrestled a lot of the best guys too. And again, our whole schedule is like that. I think we can go up and down the lineup, and that's what we did with the schedule, is to get us ready for the postseason. And I feel really good about, I know we added a lot of good teams to it this year, went to Vegas, and that's what we got to trust what we've been through and have confidence going into the ACCs and NCAAs. Great
home schedule this year. 2 top 10 non-conference schools, Virginia Tech, Carolina, sold out crowds. A lot of pressure on you for the schedule. You have the schedule yet? Can I ask that question? I always ask that question.
I know we were focused on this is an ACC preview.
It is, but everybody wants to know the schedule. I know it's just sitting on. You have a piece of paper on your desk with that schedule.
Right here.
Fans just want to know, but Pat, great catch up. The ACC Championship, it's a great event. It's a long event. We joke about that all the time, but there's some great matchups. You guys have a lot to fight for. There's a lot on the line, and it's going to be an exciting day over in Chapel Hill on Sunday.
Yeah, and we expect obviously a good crowd from our end, so make it for a good atmosphere there. And guys always appreciate when our fans show up and they're cheering them on, and it doesn't go unnoticed when we're rowdy and wearing red there. So let's make sure that happens.
We all just look forward to see what the coaches are wearing more than anything. So
we'll pick something good out for the finals.
Okay. Help Coach Kev, please. He needs the help.
I'd bring an iron this time for him.
Great wrap up. I want to thank everybody for listening today. This is your Pack Mentality Poppins podcast. We just got you ready for the ACC championships. As always, go Pack.